What is your best financial life hack? Just drink water. I'd say add tea and coffee made at home. It drives me nuts when we're heading out of town and my wife wants to grab an $8 coffee she could have made at home for $0. 20. Those road trip coffees hit different. I switched to tobacco while on the road. I'll fit it into the budget. Instructions unclear didn't help prevent pregnancy. Can't get pregnant if you're in the bathroom peeing. Uninstall Grubhub and DoorDash from your phone. Chinese takeout, $20. Delivery fee, $6. Tip, $5. Finding out that they forgot part of your order, priceless. I love food delivery apps. I pay a premium for every item and then a nice fat extra fee on top for processing or simming. And then the delivery fee. And if I have money left over, I give the delivery driver who it took 35 minutes circling my apartment to find me a well-deserved tip. Once that's all done, I happily enjoy my meal that's missing several items and is cold. So convenient. Yeah, a popular takeout joint is like charging $59 for simming on Uber Eats, which is normally $39 on the menu. The price increase on the app shocked me. I stopped using their services when I realized I'm paying double for convenience. Now I tell myself if I want it I can go grab it myself or eat at home. So much money saved. Or more like, less money wasted on an overpriced service. I live in suburbs and am surrounded by restaurants in a 5-mile radius. Yet every order is 4,560 minutes delivered. No matter what it is. It's cold and soggy, or warm and soggy if it's supposed to be cold. After a handful of consistently subpar deliveries, it made it really easy to stop using delivery apps. Bringing packed lunch, or always have a snack in my bag. Seriously. Carrying around some almonds or a Cliff Bar has gotten me through many days where I thought I'd only be out and about for an hour, and it turns into more and I need to eat. I can now eat when I get home versus getting crap or just expensive food when out. Bulk bought almonds are my love. Keeping a little container of them in my bag has been great, but they're my default work snack. Ever since I started remotely WFH, my lunch expenditures has decreased. My lunch is last night's leftovers, one of many financial gains from working remotely. Forget lunch, the amount of gas I use is insanely less. I don't smoke or drink. Saves me a lot of money. The real question is, do you play chess? I do. I'm not very good though, lol. Username checks out. I'm 3 years sober. I started thinking the other day, what if I had spent just $10 a day on booze? Which is crazy because it was a lot more than that. That's $10. $950. No wonder I was always broke. I'm an alcoholic so I can't drink. A little over 2 years sober, other than a glass of champagne on New Year's, and darn the savings. I finally moved out of my mom's house for good and saved about 20 grand in a year. The amount of money is crazy. Act like you always broke. It's not an act. Mod acting. Daddy, is that you? I said broke, not gone by the age of 4. Every time you get a raise, hide it. Increase your 401k contribution, or put it into an IRA, or invest in stock, or just put it aside in savings. In other words, don't get used to a higher level of consumption. This is especially important when you're young. This would only work if living costs didn't go up faster than my income. I thought the same thing. The only reason why I needed a raise is because everything else went up. We figured that with inflation, everyone at my second to last job was essentially taking around a 14% pay cut. And that's after everybody got a $1 raise across the board a few months prior to that. SH is F-Ed. Adjust what you think your zero is. Everyone has that OSH I'm broke number. I just inflated mine so I think I'm broke when I'm not. If I have $1,000 in my bank account, I treat it like $0. $1,050 is treated like I have only $50. It's weird, but it's been working so far. I do this too. I increase it with every 1,000. Once I reach 2K. That's the new zero. Then 3K, etc. $2,999. Time to find simming $999 to buy. Oops, just got a dividend of $2. Now I have only $1 to buy simming. Me poor again. Living below your means. I've done this since I got my first part-time job at 14 or 15 years old. Just pretend you're more broke than you really are and live that way. Eventually, it will feel normal. I wear jeans and shorts until holes form. T-shirts where some are 20 years old. Shoes until they're falling apart and completely flattened down. My line of work allows me to wear comfortable clothing like jeans, t-shirts, and sweatshirts. So, my clothing needs are very inexpensive. Also, for homeowners, don't go spending a ton of cash on expensive appliances. Most of the cheap stuff comes from the same manufacturers as the expensive models. Don't splurge on that expensive front-load washing machine. The cheap top-load washers will wash you clothes just fine and don't have all the extra electronics that tend to go bad on the more expensive models. The internet is also full of walkthrough tutorials on fixing and repairing things around your house and vehicles. Sure, some of them you may find are out of your wheelhouse and a call to a professional is in order. I don't mess with HVAC replacement or involved plumbing. With sensitive plumbing issues, I'll cut the drywall for ease of access and then pay a pro to make the repair. But you'd be surprised how many things can be done with simple tools and quick diagnosis. My dishwasher started leaking a couple weeks ago. Ended up being a $30 part and had it back up and running after a few days once I received the part. A repairman would have most likely run me close to the cost of a new dishwasher. Just did a brake job on my car that would have run me $700. I spent a few hours and $125 in parts. So, when I noticed I also needed 4 new tires, paying a pro to do that didn't sting nearly as much. I have easily saved many thousands of dollars over the years by doing the things around my house that I had the confidence to handle. Lol, where I live, having a top loader tends to be a symbol of wealth because it implies your laundry is big enough that your dryer isn't stacked on top of your washer. I didn't even know people would prefer a front loader for prestige. How funny the differences between places. Make an actual budget and stick to it. Gotta try this. Check out Renab. Came here to say this. Renab is a game changer. A wadget? Live below your means. I remember in 2017 I was only making like $2,200 a month, but I had almost no expenses living on an international military base. Part of the paycheck was a tax-free allowance for food because the dining hall by the dorms was closed. But the grocery store, commissary, was in walking distance. I'd pick up groceries for the week for about $60. It'd probably down another $40 on food on base off base. So about $400 month on food. I spent about $80 month on my cell phone. Another $50 on an international phone. $40 month on crappy internet. That was all of my bills. I allowed myself about another $50 week on entertainment or miscellaneous spending. So monthly expenses came out to about $750 month. Saved about $15. That year just laying low and not spending money, even though I made next to nothing. You were supposed to use that extra money to finance a Dodge Charger at 26% interest. And marry someone you met 2 weeks ago. Seems like a concept that's lost on many people. I was explaining to my sil that just because your income goes up, doesn't mean your spending should go up commensurately. Her reply was, but that's just what people do. No words. It's called lifestyle creep. And so many people fall into it. It's how you get people with huge houses and new cars that are still considered as paycheck to paycheck. Inherit a large amount of money. It's the secret they don't want you to know about. Financial planners dislike this one simple trick. Why earn lot money when given money do trick? Use the library for books, CDs, DVDs, and audiobooks. Libby app. Put in your library card info and check out all of their ebooks and audiobooks for free. Yes, I use this. Also, buying less books saves space in your home, in case you have a partner who thinks curating a library is considered hoarding. I don't think the books are the problem in that case. My library has current video games too. Check their collections and see if they offer more than you expect. When you have a partner and share finances, but you have different styles of managing money, it's a good idea to keep separate accounts. When my wife and I got married, we agreed that any expense over a certain amount, we would have to discuss and agree to. That amount is fairly low. Low-fee market index funds are the best investment. When you are considering a purchase, give yourself at least 24 hours, if possible, before pulling the trigger. My wife and I have our money, my money, and her money joint expenses like house, car insurance, groceries, is our money. We each get the same allowance, what we call it. If I save my allowance up and buy a new motorcycle, it's fine. We have ours set up exactly the same. His, hers and ours. We both get the same allowance. We added an extra account for bills. We auto-deposit X amount into the bill account, joint account, each month. X amount into each of our accounts and the rest stays in another joint account that we use for groceries and other stuff. We have been together for 23 years and we have yet to fight about money. My best friend's dad had a PhD in finance and that's how he and his mom had their stuff set up. They put in a proportional amount of their pay into the joint account for mortgage, food, bills, emergency stuff, kids, everything else was separate. When his dad died, his mom had no idea how much money he actually had because they never discussed it. He had a lot saved up. They never fought about money, because they never told each other what they could or couldn't buy. Yes, this My husband and I each have our own accounts and then a shared account we both can move money into for bills or just like for. All of our friends think it's weird, but we've been together 7 years and never argued about money, so 43 years here. It works. Minimize your fixed costs. Before you spend, get in the habit of asking if the purchase will increase your well-being or if it is an impulsive buy. I think this is the best I've seen. Having decreased fixed costs can decrease your stress level with finances. It gives you some cushion if a major life event affects your income. Also ask yourself how many hours you have to work to buy it. Framing purchases in the context of hours worked helps me realize how expensive something really is. Yeah, I used to do that back when I made $8 per hour. Puts things into perspective for sure. Yeah, this is definitely just an impulsive buy. I really don't need it. Add to cart. Don't buy anything on your credit card you can't pay it off on the same day. This is where I depart significantly from Dave Ramsey. His never use credit cards ever is just giving away free money. Put SH on your cards and then pay for it. You sometimes get extra warranties. You have the ability to dispute charges, and you get cash back incentives. If you are able to responsibly and consistently do this, you probably aren't totally Dave Ramsey's target audience. I learned after a while that I wasn't, but when I was trying to learn more about finances, that's where I started. Ask for small bills only. No die packs or silent alarms. What are these? Bills for ants? Set a new zero. My checking account has $531. $500 is my zero, so I only have 31 to spend. Save as I please. A different approach is to zero the last number every day. For example, if your account has $914, you transfer $4 to your savings, leaving you $910. If the next day you have $887, you transfer $7, etc. I have been doing this for the past several years and have saved several $1,000s without really feeling the pinch. Is there a way to automate this, or are you going into the account and transferring money every day? I transfer it every day. It has become fun, so I enjoy doing it. My sister taught me this years ago and this has helped me save so much. Cook my own meals, not eat out. This is a big one. I don't think people realize how much money they spend eating out. Almost everyone I know who is perpetually broke is also perpetually eating out. Most restaurant food just isn't that good, and at that point the convenience of not cooking or doing dishes is overshadowed by the whole I can't pay my bills thing. I have a roommate like this. I work a full-time job plus a side hustle. I shop at the cheap grocery store and meal prep on Sunday. Most of the nice things I own I bought used on Facebook Marketplace. My shoes and clothes come from Amazon warehouse and my car is a used Corolla that's old enough to drink. I make good money, low six figures, but largely live like I'm broke and put that cash into savings and investments. Roommate works mostly full-time, when he feels like it, but blows all his money on W and restaurant food deliveries. He genuinely doesn't understand why he can't get ahead. We've had so many conversations about financial management, had to learn it myself. My parents refused to talk about money with me, and I've helped him put together a budget. Pointed him to free apps to track his spending, and taught him how to cook, and he just won't do what it takes to dig out. He has no savings, borrows from his 401k for vacations, and it sucks to see him struggle. Think of your future self as a different person you need to help. Every time you're able to save back even $1, it helps your future self out. Yes, husband and I had a bad habit of running out of money before payday. Hey, no big deal. We'll just borrow some from savings. It'll be fine. I finally had to point out that his big goal is to go to Japan with me. If we keep stealing from our savings, that is never going to happen. We've been better about it since. I overspend because I believe in my future self that he'll make it up for it somehow. Banks are not your financial advisors. Don't take their advices. They are a business and think about their profit. Slight disagree. You need to form a good relationship with your bank. They have a vested interest in protecting your money as long as you're responsible. They can be absolutely ruthless if you're not responsible, but can be very rewarding if you are. Pay off your credit cards on time every time. They'll reward you with points towards cash back or travel, which is free money. Many times you'll get free benefits too. As long as you pay it off immediately, you won't pay a penny in interest. Any unauthorized charges on your credit card will absolutely be protected. One time I unknowingly subscribed to a monthly car wash service when I thought it would just be a single charge. Few months later I noticed, called my bank, and they reversed every charge past the first. They are more willing to back you up if it's on a credit card. When shopping for a car loan, absolutely go to your bank first and ask for a pre-approved interest rate. Then when the car salesman offers you their loan, you have power to negotiate. If they don't offer a better rate than the bank, just take the bank loan instead. TL, doctor, they don't want you to lose your money just as much as you. Just as long as you're not losing their money. Be responsible, pay off your credit on time, and they will absolutely reward and protect you. I agree. However, I would do your own research on your bank's investment advice. They have a heavy bias to the funds they make the most off. Our biggest money saver is cooking our meals at home. We bake bread 34 days a week, $0. 50 loaf, and grow lettuce, peas, cucumbers, and herbs by a window all winter. Feel great, more money in my pocket. 50 cents a loaf? Our yeast costs a lot more than that. Buying in bulk and pricing it out is probably how they reached that, though it does sound super small, so maybe it's just an estimate. A jar of yeast lasts a very long time. You don't use much. The 3 packs are much more expensive for the same amount. If you are good at sometime, don't do it for free. I can plant gardens and mulch them. It's relaxing, fun, easy and rewarding. Some people want a nice garden with edges and mulch. Takes me a few minutes to pick out some perennials, and order them. With a bulk load of mulch and soil, I can drive it to a house, unload, cut out a garden and install the new one within a few hours. Then go to a spot and unload to scrap I dug out, grass usually. I did this for free for a buddy. His neighbor wanted the same, and I said we could do it. They paid me $500 for a few hours labor and the materials. Now I charge $500 and walk away with $350 profit for a few hours, for the same work I was doing for fun on Sunday mornings. Odo, don't feel obligated to monetize your hobbies, especially if you have a job that pays more. I feel like lots of social media is encouraging everyone to have a side hustle. I have hobbies that I could make money doing, but it'd be a way lower hourly rate than my real job and it would sap the enjoyment from it. Yeah, I guess if $350 for 3 hours of work and some driving was less than my day job, I probably wouldn't consider it either. Stop eating, start photosynthesizing. No joke, the Wall Street Journal suggested skipping breakfast to save money. Stave yourself, peasants. I live thrifting and getting the name brand clothes because I know they'll last a long time. I have thrifted almost all of my clothes for years. I am well dressed and get lots of compliments. Lately I have been doing more shopping at online consignment stores, especially since COVID and a move to the middle of nowhere. You do spend more, but I think it can save a lot of time. Well, it definitely saves time when the nearest thrift store is a 45-minute drive. Rotisserie chickens from the grocery store are usually a really good deal and make for a good middle ground between eating out and cooking dinner. And when you buy one, you not only get a decent amount of chicken to use for a meal or two, but you also get the bones and fat that you can use to make your own broth on the stove with some water and seasonings. I usually keep vegetable scraps to toss in as well. No more buying broth, and it freezes well too. Simming baby, you got yourself a stew going. The refrigerated ones are 50% off. If you smoke cigarettes, quit. This might sound silly, but you shouldn't use the quit around smoking. Use the word stop. Quitting suggests you're giving something up of worth. If you're a quitter, there's a negative connotation in your mind from the start. You aren't quitting, you're stopping. Stopping the harm, stopping the smell, stopping the cost. You don't quit bad things, you stop doing them. About as close as you can get to literally just setting money on fire. Money can be exchanged for goods and services, which can then be ignited and inhaled. Woohoo! Don't spend money on bottled water and drive slower. So if I spend money on bottled water, I should drive faster? Young people should not be ashamed to live at home for longer. It's crazy how much debt some young people are in, and they could be in a lot less debt if they just stayed home longer. I know boomers normalized bragging about kicking your kids out of the house at age 18 and leaving them with no support even though their own parents often helped them buy their first house. Yes, that's actually true. And boomers would prefer that you didn't know this. But that's really not okay. P.S. I'm 53 years old. This post was not made out of self-interest. My house has 2 master bedrooms because the previous family, from another country, practiced multi-generational living. My mom lived with us before she passed, and I've told my young adult children that they can and should stay here for as long as they want. Even after marriage, I feel safer with a lot of people around, and we all pitch in financially and maintenance-wise, so all are benefiting from it. The amount they would pay on rent for a 1-bedroom in this area is more than my mortgage payment on a roomy house where everyone has their own bathroom and bedroom. Yes, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Multi-generational living is much more efficient and beneficial in many ways. I believe our society's aggressive push for people to live apart as soon as possible is caused by a cult of individualism run amok. The best $7.50 I have ever spent. What's the best money you have ever spent? Found about $20 in a store parking lot when I was about 13. Me and my dad were pretty poor at this point. Heck, we didn't even have a home. We were secretly sleeping where he worked. I probably should have just given him the money, but I wanted to surprise him. So I walked down to the inn, bought a few pints of Häagen-Dazs, my dad's favorite ice cream, and then walked down to where he was working. He took a 30-minute break and we sat outside eating it, just chatting about the world and how we fit into it. It really was one of the best memories I have from that time. From that point on, I'd try to scrounge up little bits of money to buy us treats like candy, cups of noodles, ice cream, or whatever I could manage, just so I could sit and talk to my dad in between his 15-hour work shifts. So, whoever lost that $20, thank you. Those were dark times, and little moments of happiness like that is what got us through it. You know, I won't be so upset the next time I lose my money. I'll probably find it and spend it on DS. Buying local, a true American hero. I spent around $8 on insurance for a rented car, ended up totaling it, didn't pay a dime. The rental company then gave me another car to drive back in. Wow, that's awesome, that you didn't have to pay. Not that you were in an accident. Was it your fault? No, it's America's fault. Why is this funny? Why did I laugh at this? $6 admission to State Fair that included a free Weird Al show. That is truly incredible. One time I was walking behind a store and a homeless man asked me for some money, so I gave him like $10 so he could get some dinner. A couple of weeks later I was about to be mugged and the homeless guy scared the guys away. How did he scare the guys away? On the same vein, I befriended a homeless guy on Halloween and he said if I ever needed to make someone disappear, I should talk to him. When I was on a night out once, me and my BF gave these scary looking guys directions to a club. They thanked us and said if anyone gives you any trouble just shout us and we'll sort them out, and proceeded to walk off. We were like, WTF, how would we shout them? Do they think we have some sort of bat signal? Foos ro hoodrats. My girlfriend at the time and I drove to Las Vegas on a whim. As we got closer I joked about getting married while we were there. She called me on my bluff. The next morning we had breakfast, got our marriage application and went to the chapel by the courthouse. For $40 we got a no frills, no pictures, 5-minute ceremony by a pastor, wrong word maybe? By glasses so thick I could see his soul in his eyes. I got married in jeans and a t-shirt to my beautiful wife wearing jeans and a tank top. We drove back home to a friend's house to enjoy carrot cake and bottle of Martinelli's sparkling cider from a grocery store. 8 years later it's still the best $40 I ever spent. That's my kind of wedding. I'd probably check out a few extra bucks for an Elvis costume though. We were discussing getting married anyway, but most weddings cost $4,000 $15000 easily, and we just didn't have that kind of money. For us the important part was being married, not the wedding. Looking back, it couldn't have been more perfect. We keep talking about having a reception for our 10th anniversary. It couldn't have been more perfect. Did you not read Evil Steve's post? Elvis, costume. Spent $10.89 on a box of 300 glow sticks. Not just the best money I've ever spent, but the best decision I've ever made. I demand to know where I can purchase 300 glow sticks for that price. Amazon. Do they sell ecstasy at Amazon as well? While summering it up in Europe my sophomore year of high school, alone, I came across a homeless man with a dog pretty late at night in some British back street. I was walking back from an American friend's parents' house to the hostel I was staying at. Anyway, the man was holding his dog in his arms, and it looked like they were both trying to catch some sleep. Without even knowing what I was doing, I walked across the street to a convenience store and bought a deli sandwich, a can of wet dog food, and a carton of milk. I went back to the alley where they were both still sleeping and quietly set everything next to the man. Right as I was exiting the other end of the alley, I faintly heard him yell after me, "God bless your soul, young man," and he started audibly crying to himself. I got pretty teary, but didn't turn around and just nodded my head instead. To this day, that was the best money I have ever spent. Edit, no can opener was needed. It was a pull-tab top, and thank you all for the kind words. Also, to clear up any confusion, I am an American. I like how you walked off like a heroic movie badass at the end. He blew up that poor homeless man. No. Bless your soul. Click. I like nipples. D. Did he repay the $5? It would be more like $8. Oh, 2 when you account for inflation. Every morning I go to Bigfoot Java here in Renton. It's literally the highlight of my day. One of the few things I wake up and look forward to. The same 2 baristas work the MF morning shift, so I see them often. A few days ago, Seattle just got hit with a big snowstorm and the power was out, freezing and miserable. I went into work, because I had nothing better to do and I drive a beast of a vehicle. On my way in, I pulled up to Bigfoot. It was pretty clear they had no power, but both baristas were sitting there, bundled up and freezing their ice off. This isn't a Starbucks, it's a coffee stand that is basically a closet. They explained they were closed, but had to stay there because the company prides itself on never closing. Weird. Anyway, I left thinking darn, that blows. So I drove 15 minutes to Kent. Picked up 2 hot chocolates and a few apple pies from McDonald's, one of the only places open after the snow, and brought it to them. The smile made it worth the $10, 30-minute round trip, and being late for a meeting. Not the best money I've ever spent, but the best money I've spent recently. Of course Bigfoot would be open during the snowpocalypse. I used to work at a coffee stand kind of like Bigfoot, and one day a homeless man showed up and asked for a cup of coffee. I wasn't supposed to give food and drinks away for free, but I was allowed to have 1 free cup of coffee during my shift, and I gave mine to him. He stood around and told me his life story. Didn't cost me anything, but was pretty amazing. Only 1 free coffee a shift? Makes me appreciate my boss a lot more. We get as many free drinks as we like. Not that anyone is it. I had the chance to travel to rural Indonesia a few years ago. The group I was with encountered an extremely impoverished family that were sleeping on the footpath. They were all filthy and looked like they hadn't eaten a decent meal in some time. As we walked past, the mother woke up. A maid accidentally bumped her. We pooled together 1 million rupiah, roughly Australian $100, and gave it to her. She literally broke down in tears and explained to us that she would be able to feed herself and her children for a long time. It felt nice to be able to help someone. I felt a bit guilty about not doing it more. My cousin was in India and somehow got to visit a local family. The 8-year-old daughter couldn't go to school because she didn't have a pencil to write homework with. So school sent her home and told her not to come back without a pencil. My cousin, who is an artist, pulled out her pencil case, which was filled with pens, pencils and crayons, and gave it to the little girl. Can you imagine? They were so poor that they couldn't afford a pencil and the girl would have lost her education because of that. Needless to say, they broke down crying and thanked my cousin over and over. When I lived in Peru and went hiking in the Andes, I always took a bunch of pens with me. Instead of giving kids chocolate and sweets, I always asked, "Do you go to school?" And when they said yes, gave them a pen. I know, I'm a smug rogue. I read a tour book before going to Tanzania that said I should bring pens to give out to the kids in the villages. But the whole tourist pen distribution situation has backfired there because we were always followed by 1 million kids running after us yelling, "Give me my pen." Even when you'd see a kid standing in a field 100 yards away, he'd hold out his hand and yell, "Mzung, give me my pen." Little kids are scary. One time, after a night of drinking, I bought $50 worth of moon pies directly from the manufacturer. Came out to 12 boxes of 12 mini moon pies. Totally forgot about it until they were sitting on my doorstep a week later. That is a gross amount of moon pies. Hey, a gross, Nibus. I had a friend of the family fall into hard times, yet would flat out refuse any money from anyone. I went to the store and loaded up on diapers, wipes, shampoo, and a gift card for food, and left it on her doorstep. She still doesn't know who did it, and I couldn't care less. She was very thankful. My mother was single, raising my sister and I. She had developed breast cancer and had to stop working. People would buy us gift cards to Stop and Shop and a bunch of other food too. My mother wasn't weak for accepting it. She was strong enough to admit that we needed help to get by. I am still thankful to this day for all those people. I meant a lot to us. You are a good person. Asking for help takes more strength of character than just about anything. I used to think the opposite, but life taught me that lesson. A bottle of grenadine syrup for $3. Now I make myself a Shirley Temple every day. I don't know what that is, but it sounds good on pancakes. Grenadine is God's glucose. Actually, it's made from the blood of diabetics. A condom. 100 plus 000% return on your investment. Every time, 98% of the time. If used properly. Ross would like to have a word with you about the fine print on condom boxes. Look, Ross, let's just forget about the condom. Oh, well, I may as well have. $1 on a huge pack of straws. Straws are awesome. Nice try, Coke. Nice. Try Coke. $100 in a slot machine. 10 minutes later, I had $6. 300. Nice try. Las Vegas. I once bought 100 tacos for $100. That should provide adequate sustenance for the Doctor Who marathon. Just add jammy Dodgers, jelly babies, and a banana Doc Warrior 3. And the fish fingers. Was parking in London at a parking meter. My tax had run out but was in the post. So I needed to write a note saying the tax was paid and on its way. No pen though. Went into a nearby shop and they had Bics for sale. It was 75p for one. Or £1 for a box of 100. So I bought the box. Now, 10 years later, whenever I need a pen I still have some left. Best £1 I ever spent. Speaking as an American, what? Vehicle excise duty. The big pen. Anything else? You know what pound is, right? I was like 17 years old and was working part-time at a local packing store for like a year. Not making much, just enough to buy myself a new computer after all that time. While my mom is talking to my dad and grandma, I overhear them asking my grandma for money because my dad, who is a construction worker, wasn't getting a lot of work at the time. They needed money for house payment. Well, I decide to put the money in my mom's saving bottle. It was like 300 something. I remember her calling my grandma saying she had found money and didn't need to borrow any. Made me feel good I could repay them for raising me and keeping a roof over my head. 4 years later, I do it over again in a second. Similar story here. At the beginning of the economy's flush, my dad's company decided to downsize and relocate all the Southwest regional sites to the one main national one. He didn't make the cut due to his subordinate being a drinking buddy of their boss. My dad had been without a job for about a year and my mom could barely make car mortgage payments on our own. I had saved a nice chunk of change for a new tattoo for my birthday. A day earlier I find out that they got a notice that the bank would foreclose if they didn't make a payment that week. I canceled my birthday plans and gave them all the cash I had on hand. I still feel proud that I could help my parents keep the house I grew up in. Expedia had a promo code for $300 off any flight hotel package to New York, Cancun, or Vegas. Round trip to Vegas including a night at a hotel ended up only being $340. With the promo code, it ended up being a $40 round trip. Best impulse decision ever. That's extra funny because I just spent $18.20 round trip to ride 30 minutes each way on the BART to get to downtown San Francisco from SFO. F the BART. Edit. Whoops. I meant $16.20. Math fail. My point still stands. I prefer the BORT. I tried a similar thing for an impoverished little elderly white man one time. He was asking me for spare change so he could buy food. So I said, come on, I'll buy you a few slices of pizza. In the half a city block it took to get to the pizza place, he stopped and asked 4 other people for change. Tried to bum a cigarette off of someone else. Was rude to the lady in front of us in the lineup. And just walked off and didn't even mutter a thank you when he got his 2 slices of pepperoni pizza. So now whenever someone asks me for spare change, I hunt them through the streets for sport. Edit. I feel kinda like a dick. All these wonderful stories of generosity. People helping people. And here I go and post about an ungrateful A. Still, I like to think it brings a bit of balance. Some good deeds go unrewarded, as they do. Some are remembered and returned in kind, as we might hope. And some just blow up in our faces. Shouldn't make us afraid of going out on a limb. But we gotta weigh the risks. We had a person come in and purchase a pizza for a homeless man that was asking people for change to eat. She was asking what kind of pizza he liked and what he wanted on it. He was just rude and dismissed most of the questions. Finally setting on a pizza with extra pepperoni and cheese. The woman paid and left with a smile thinking she had just done a good deed. As soon as she left, the homeless man started asking for a refund saying he was no longer hungry and just wanted the cash. We refused because it wasn't his money, it was the woman's. The woman was gifting him the pizza. He got very angry and started yelling. It was an uncomfortable 7 minutes waiting for his pizza to complete. Finally he received his pizza, took out 2 slices, and threw the rest at the window. It just stuck there for a second and slid down slowly. What an ungrateful hobo. Well, at least in the big cities, most beggars do it as a career and make more than you do. It's not food or booze they're begging for. It's rent, car payments, and their cell phone bill. I think the best thing one can do for a person in need is give them the address of a local food bank. The actual homeless that are in need will thank you. Very true. I'm in Boston and I've seen plenty of acts. My favorite one is when a hobo asks if he can give you some coins for paper bills, that way I can keep it safer and don't need to worry about it falling out of my pockets, and when he sees you are opening your wallet purse, says, well, what about I give you these coins for that $10? I was fairly new to the city the first time this happened, but I had been an $1 for years before it. The hobo got nothing and left. I was in Canada and my friend was in Australia. I graduated from high school, got $1,000 from the government for having awesome grades, and I decided that university could freaking wait. I worked my A off for 10 months at 2 minimum wage jobs at a movie theater in a crappy nowhere town. I was a concession bee and a night cleaner, working very awkward and conflicting hours. I got no sleep. I finally saved up enough money to fly to Australia and met my internet friend of 6 years. I lived with him for 3 months, and we got engaged in that time. Because of a $1,000 gift from the government, I was given the inspiration that I could do just like I wanted with my life. I chose friendship and love, and I'm going for my Australian citizenship January 26, 2013. We're celebrating our 4th wedding anniversary this May. Scumbag HS grad, receives $1,000 from the government, uses it to flee the country. Not going to lie, $100 for a Garmin GPS. As someone who has problems with perpetually getting lost, that thing has changed my life. $15 on a rice cooker. Best bloody thing in the kitchen. You just put the rice in it and it has a keep warm function, so when it's cooked, it'll just sit there for a while all nice and warm in its little cocoon until you're ready to eat it. For some reason, this description reminds me of a kitten. Why are you cooking rice with kittens? I go to this noodle and bubble tea shop near my apartment about once a week. The food is affordable and I basically drink water or tea. So what the heck, right? Last Thursday, while I was drawing some things in my sketchbook as I ate, the 2 girls next to me had a third friend arrive, late, seemingly upset. She then went on and on about how bad her life has been lately, how nothing since the new year has gone right for her, how her thesis is in trouble, so a senior in college, and how this is the last time she can go out with friends, a noodle shop, for the next 4 months. It might be a little bit dramatic to others, but you can tell she was unhappy, and that's what I picked up. I felt like, nothing good has happened since the new year? That needs to stop. So when I paid my bill, I went up to the waitress and mumbled to her so the girls didn't hear, "Let me pay for her drink." The waitress was confused. I overheard her talking and she seems unhappy. So let me pay for her drink. Oh, okay. I think she got the taro flavor. Finally the waitress follows, tells me to pay about $4.50. I do so, and leave as fast as possible so they don't know what I did. Fast forward to the following Tuesday. I go back to the noodle shop for my weekly visit. I'm sketching again and then I get a tap on my shoulder. A girl starts complimenting my drawings and asks about me. She then goes, "Were you here last Thursday?" I pause. "Yeah? I was sitting with my friends next to you when you were here." I was startled cause I never expected to get a response. Yeah. You paid for my friend's drink?" "Oh, yeah," she said, simming like how nothing good happened this year for her, and I felt like that needed to change a bit. She replied, "Well, you made her day." I always expected to be anonymous, but it was still nice to have confirmation that she felt better. I will do more random things like this in the future. Edit to fix some grammar. Everyone, take note. Did you read this story? Now, imagine it in a rage comic. You're mad, and much less satisfied, aren't you? Next time you feel the urge to make a rage comic, remember this story, and don't. The world will be a better place because of you. Honestly, the best money I've ever spent was $150 for 6 prepaid months of a Harmony, even though I turned out not to need that long because I met my husband around week 3. We lived less than 5 miles apart, but didn't go any of the same places, so I really think we'd never have met without it, plus being 2 fairly introverted people. I'm not sure we'd ever have met even if we had seen one another. The best selfless money I spent was buying the family in front of me at the checkouts groceries. They were ahead of me in trying I figure out how to get their ATM card to work for the balance the food stamps wouldn't cover, and it kept being declined. The woman looked close to tears and was about to give up and leave without anything. So I reached over and swiped my card. She gave me the biggest hug and invited me to Thanksgiving, which was about a week later. I couldn't go because I was going to spend it with my family and told her as much, and she understood. She was really worried about how she'd find me to pay me back, but I told her to help someone else when she was able to, and that would be her repayment. It wasn't very much money, but they kept me there chatting and thanking me for about 10 minutes after my stuff had been rung up, paid for, and packed. Edit, fix typos caused by trying to type on an iPhone after just waking up. Foggy brain, not yet fully functioning dexterity, and a tiny keyboard that corrects things for you isn't a great recipe for decent typing. Yeah, you know, some people stop at a trophy wife. I bought a whole trophy family. 17 years ago, I spent $10 on a copay for a vasectomy. Best idea ever. I brought home tubal ligation literature and left it on the coffee table. My husband read it, decided that a vasectomy for him was a safer option, and he did it. Edit, not like I left it out to be found. More like put it down and went to make dinner and he started reading about it. This was something we were discussing as a couple. After 7 years of marriage. Men that make their wives undergo major surgery in order to avoid a 20-minute outpatient procedure are effing pussies.